I'm 83 years old. My name is Margaret, and if you're still here listening to me, I want you to listen carefully, not because I'm special, but because I've lived long enough to see how most stories end. When Richard died, people didn't just offer sympathy, they offered instructions. You shouldn't be alone. You need help now. Why don't you move closer to your children? They said it gently, kindly, like they were protecting me. But underneath those words was something else, an assumption that I was no longer capable of holding my own life. And maybe you've heard something like that too. Maybe not out loud, but in the way people look at you, the way they speak over you, the way they start making suggestions that slowly turn into decisions. Here's what nobody tells you about getting older. The most reliable support you'll ever have won't come from your family. It won't come from your friends. And it definitely won't come from hoping the world will take care of you. It comes from 5 things. 5 things that only you can build, protect, and carry. I know that sounds harsh, maybe even a little cold, but I've watched too many people my age slowly disappear. Not all at once, but piece by piece. First their independence, then their confidence, then their identity. And I've also watched a few people stay whole, stay sharp, stay free. The difference wasn't luck. It was these 5 things. The first is your body, your ability to move, not how it looks, not how strong it used to be, just whether it still listens when you ask it to do something. I didn't understand how fragile that was until I was 75. I remember the morning clearly, the light coming through the curtains, the quiet in the house. I swung my legs over the side of the bed like I'd done thousands of times before. And then I stopped because my body didn't follow. My knees wouldn't straighten. My back felt stiff like something had locked overnight. I reached for the nightstand just to steady myself, but even that felt harder than it should have been. I sat there on the edge of my own bed, thinking something I had never thought before. This is how it starts. Not with a dramatic fall, not with a big diagnosis, just a morning where your body doesn't cooperate. And suddenly, everything you took for granted becomes a question. Can I get up on my own? Can I walk to the kitchen? Can I carry my groceries? Can I live without asking someone else to help me do the most basic things? That morning scared me more than anything else had in years, because I had seen where that road leads. There was a woman down the street, Mrs. Patterson. She was 72 when her knees started giving her trouble. Nothing serious at first, just pain when climbing stairs. So she avoided stairs. Then she avoided walking too far. Then she started sitting more. Within a year, she moved in with her daughter. Within 2, she barely left her room. It wasn't her mind that failed her. It was her mobility. And when you lose your ability to move, you don't just lose strength. You lose options. You lose privacy. You lose dignity in ways people don't like to talk about. Sitting on that bed, I made a decision. Nothing dramatic, nothing heroic. I just decided to walk every day, even when I didn't feel like it, especially when I didn't feel like it. 30 minutes around the block, slow at first, sometimes painfully slow. I didn't try to be young again. I didn't push myself the way I used to. I stretched gently, small movements, circles with my ankles, lifting my knees while sitting in a chair, rolling my shoulders. Nothing impressive. But I did it every single day, and that's the part people don't understand. It's not what you do once that changes you. It's what you refuse to stop doing. Now I'm 83. I get out of bed on my own. I walk to the store. I carry my groceries, and those might sound like small things to you, but they are the difference between asking and deciding, between waiting and moving, between dependence and freedom. My friend Eleanor is 79. She used to be more active than I ever was. But 5 years ago her knees started hurting, so she rested. Then she rested more. And the more she rested, the weaker she got. And the weaker she got, the more it hurt to move. Now she can't walk to her mailbox without someone holding her arm. She didn't lose everything all at once. She gave it up slowly. That's how it happens. So protect your body. Not because you want to look good, because you want to remain in control of your life. The second thing is learning to need less. This one took me longer to understand. I used to believe security meant having more money saved, more space, more comfort, more backup plans. But after Richard died, I learned something I wish I had understood decades earlier. Security isn't about how much you have. It's about how little you need. I was 68, sitting at the kitchen table one evening surrounded by bills. The house felt too big, too quiet, too expensive. Heating costs, maintenance, property taxes. I was paying to maintain a life that no longer fit me. And I kept telling myself it was fine, because I could still afford it. But I could also see the direction things were going. I had a neighbor, Mr. Hartley. He had done everything right, worked hard, saved well, retired comfortably. But he built a life that required a lot to sustain. A big house, 2 cars, expensive habits. At first it wasn't a problem. Then slowly it became one. By his mid-70s, his savings were shrinking faster than he expected. And eventually, he had to start asking his son for help. I'll never forget the way he looked when he talked about it. Not ashamed exactly, but diminished. Like something inside him had shifted. Every time he asked, he lost a little more ground. I didn't want that, so I made a choice most people avoid. I downsized, sold the house, bought a small place, 1 floor, easy to maintain, paid it off. I got rid of the second car. I stopped buying things out of habit. I simplified everything. And something strange happened. I didn't feel like I had less. I felt like I had space. When you need less, you become harder to control. You don't have to tolerate things you don't want. You don't have to rely on people just to maintain your lifestyle. You don't have to trade your independence for comfort. My friend Dorothy still lives in her large home. She can barely keep up with the costs, but she refuses to leave. She says it would look like failure, so instead, she struggles quietly and asks her children for help. And every time she asks, the relationship changes just a little. Need creates pressure, and pressure changes people. I may have less than she does, but I answer to no one, and that is worth more than anything I gave up. The third thing is your health, not luck, not genetics, habits. After a certain age, your body stops forgiving you. It stops giving you second chances. I saw that clearly with my brother, Tom. He lived the way he wanted, ate what he wanted, drank what he wanted, never saw a doctor unless something was wrong. I feel fine, he'd say, and for a long time, he did, until one day he didn't. In his early 70s, everything caught up at once. Diabetes, heart issues, high blood pressure. Suddenly his life became appointments, medications, restrictions. He didn't die, but he stopped living freely, Every day became management, managing symptoms, managing risks, managing fear. I didn't want that life, so I changed mine before I had to. I started small, walking in the morning, eating food that actually nourished me, drinking water instead of whatever was convenient, sleeping properly, seeing a doctor regularly, not because I felt sick, but because I wanted to stay that way. None of it was extreme, but it was consistent. And consistency is what builds a life you can still recognize later. At 83, I don't take daily medication. My blood pressure is stable. My heart is strong. Not because I was lucky, because I paid attention early enough. Your future health is not decided in one moment. It's decided in thousands of small ones. Ignore them, and you'll spend your later years paying for it. Respect them, and you'll buy yourself time, energy, and independence. The fourth thing is your ability to handle loss without collapsing. This is the one people avoid talking about, because it's uncomfortable. But after a certain age, loss is not an exception. It's part of the landscape. You will lose people. You will lose versions of your life. You will lose parts of yourself. The question is not if. The question is how you respond. When Richard died, I thought I might disappear with him. 44 years of marriage, gone in a moment. The silence in the house felt unbearable. Everything reminded me of him, and I could see two paths clearly. One was to stop, to let the grief take over, to wait for my children to fill the emptiness, to slowly become someone who needed constant support just to function. The other was harder, to grieve, but keep going, to feel everything, but not let it define everything. I chose the second path, not perfectly, not gracefully, but consistently. I cried. I missed him. I talked to him sometimes, even when I knew he wasn't there, but I kept my routines. I kept walking. I kept showing up to my own life. And over time, something shifted. The grief didn't disappear, but it stopped controlling me. I built something new, not a replacement, just a continuation. My friend Virginia made a different choice. She stopped doing the things she used to share with her husband, stopped seeing people, stopped engaging with life. She waited for visits, for comfort, for something to take the pain away, but nothing ever did. Now she lives in a kind of emotional standstill, stuck between what was and what is. The difference between us wasn't love. It was responsibility. I took responsibility for carrying my grief. She waited for someone else to carry it for her, and that difference changes everything. The fifth thing is knowing who you are and refusing to give that up, because as you get older, people will start making decisions for you, sometimes gently, sometimes firmly, always for your own good, your children, doctors, even strangers. And if you don't have a clear sense of who you are, you will slowly be edited out of your own life. I've seen it happen. A friend of mine, Helen, started giving up small things. First she stopped driving. Then she moved because it made her children feel better. Then she gave up activities they thought were risky. Step by step, her life became smaller. Not because she couldn't live it, because she stopped choosing it. Now she lives a life designed by other people's fears, and she resents it deeply. When my daughter suggested assisted living, I listened. I understood her concern. But I also knew something she didn't. I wasn't ready to give up my independence. So I said no, calmly, clearly, without apology. If things change, we'll talk, but right now, I'm capable. And I meant it. Knowing who you are doesn't mean refusing help forever. It means knowing when help is necessary and when it's not. It means having boundaries, standards, a sense of identity that doesn't fade just because other people get nervous. I am still me, not a version of me, not a reduced form, me. So those are the 5 things: your body, your ability to need less, your health, your resilience, your sense of self. Nobody can build these for you, and once you truly have them, nobody can take them away. I'm not saying your family doesn't matter. They do. But they have their own lives, and love is not a system you can rely on for independence. If you cannot stand on your own, you will lean, and if you lean too long, you forget how to stand. If you're 60, 70, even 80, it is not too late, but it is later than you think. Start moving. Start simplifying. Start paying attention to your health. Start strengthening your mind. Start deciding who you are. Because one day, sooner than you expect, you will either be grateful you did or wishing you had. And I can tell you from experience, regret weighs a lot more than discipline. If this meant something to you, leave me a comment. I read everyone, and there's something else you need to hear. There are 3 truths about living alone that nobody prepares you for. Not the romantic version, the real version. The quiet moments, the hard days, and how to face them without losing yourself. There's a video on your screen right now. Watch it. And if you want to sit with me again, subscribe. Until then, take care of yourself, because in the end, that's who you'll always have.